Hey everybody, this is Bob. How are you doing today? And welcome to a conversation with Eric Sizemore. Eric is actually, Eric, why don't you tell us what you are exactly?
Well, I'm a bunch of things, but primarily a librarian and comedy adjacent.
Okay. I didn't even know that was such a thing. I
I
suppose you could be adjacent to anything, right? So
yeah.
in my case, I'm trailer park adjacent. No, I'm just
There you
joking. It just sounded funny. Well, that's cool. So I guess those two things go together, right? So librarian and comedian. So are you a comedian librarian or a librarian comedian? I guess that would be the question.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't know. It's a little of both.
Because
It's
you got to pick one, to
yeah,
put in front.
yeah. It's an interesting. When I first started doing this, I thought, oh, I'll be the librarian comedian, and like
Hmm.
in the library circles, I'd be the comedian librarian, and in the comedy circles, I'd be the librarian comedian. But
Uh-huh.
over time, I kind of found out that with any job, people talk about their professions, and there's three primary targets, for your jokes. It's either like the customers or your coworkers or management.
Yeah.
But in my case, as a librarian, I can't make fun of any of those people.
I was going to say it becomes precarious at certain times. I would imagine
Yeah.
you could talk in vagaries, I suppose, but
Mhm.
not anything that's pointed.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Well, it's interesting. Actually, you can just do a lot of Dewey Decimal humor.
you'd think
Uh, the Dewey Decimal System, right? Wasn't that called? Yeah,
you
the
would
Dewey
think.
system. Although I heard that there's some backlash on that system currently. So
Oh, it's hilarious. If you mention Dewey Decimal System among the academic librarians, they just go, Dewey is racist.
yeah,
That's,
Dewey's right.
you're like, yeah, actually, yeah, he was. Yeah,
Yeah.
misogynist,
There,
sexual harasser, serial.
unfortunately, there's a lot of people in history
Yeah.
who are racists and bigots and all kinds of stuff.
Weird.
That it all happened. There's no denying.
Hmm.
No denying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird thing about today is we can't just complain about now. We have to complain about the past.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we could complain about the past before, but maybe not in the same terms. You're applying the terms of today to the past. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get off of that
Now,
topic.
but do you do like I get a lot of questions. People are like, "Oh, comedy, you can't say anything anymore," and I was like, comedy has always been topical and about what's happening right now.
Hmm.
And when you go back and you like, listen to Lenny Bruce or something like that, it's not as funny because you're not in that time. You're not in that context.
Right. Yeah. Everything's not evergreen, right?
But the other thing is too is like comedians we're all about words. It's like poetry. It's like lyrics. It has a certain formula to it, and you have to pick the right words. And it's like, no, it's not that you can't say anything. You just have to pick the right words, which is the gig. Like, always has
Oh,
been.
well, there you go. So comedy is a profession of language.
Yeah. And the vernacular changes all the time. The topics of interest change all the time. The moral boundaries change all the time. So it's right on the edge. It's always interesting.
Yeah, I always love to do this bit on rotary telephones, but it just doesn't go over so well anymore.
I'm stunned. I still make reference to $6 Million Man, and I don't know why the kids still know that. I have no idea. I'll be fine.
Probably not.
But no, and it still works, and I'm thrilled.
So whenever you set out in your so obviously if you say you call yourself a librarian, so this is a career choice, right? This isn't happenstance. You just didn't wake up one morning and answer the ad in the paper said need somebody to stack books.
Yeah, I think what it was is that I am a person that has had a lot of jobs and done a lot of gigs, and I do some acting and some voice acting, so those are always gigs. But
Hmm.
but I did a lot of stuff, and then I just happened to hear that the University of Illinois here in town is the #1 library school in the whole world, and it was just
Yeah, I'm
library and information science. I was like, interesting. And then I thought about it, and I was like, oh, that's actually like studying everything, which is kind of what interests me.
Well, there you go. Yeah, the U of I, and so I'm from the Midwest as well, and I'm actually from originally from Decatur, Illinois, which isn't too far from where you're at.
No, I've made plenty of jokes about Decatur.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why is it so windy in Champaign? Because Decatur sucks. But anyway, yeah. But so I'm in St. Louis right now. But anyway, I talk a lot about the Midwest and some of these things, and people don't, I think, realize University of Illinois in Champaign is #1 in a lot of areas over the course of time, not only in library science but in computer science and all these. I mean, in having Native American,
totally.
What do you want to call it? Native American, mascots, yeah, and keeping them against the trend. But a lot of things have happened there. One of my favorites is that HAL 9000, fictionally was born in Champaign.
In Urbana, and and the weird thing is, we actually did have a company called HAL. I think it was HAL Computer Corporation. It was so funny. I used to do sales, and I walked in, and I was like, "Hey, I want somebody to tell me all about this place." Turns out they make the cop radios.
Okay.
I was like, "Oh, interesting." Okay.
Well, whatever. He's involved in that. Officer, there's a speeder. The so have you always been from that Champaign-Urbana area?
Yeah, I was born here. I almost ended up over by Danville in a very small town called Catlin, but then moved back to Champaign and spent a stint out in California, and that really will put the Midwest into perspective. You're like, hey, I'm going to drink some tap water. Check it out. I'm really enjoying this. Look at that sunset with just normal colors and not brown.
Yeah. So what were you doing out in California?
I had an opportunity. I was like this close to enlisting in the Navy, and I know. I got a call. I would have gotten bounced out so badly. It's just so, you always think you're such an impressive person, and I was like, oh no, that would have been hell. That would not have worked out well. Anyway, but I got a call from some folks that were building their own home up in the San Bernardino National Forest, up a little village called Running Springs, and they were like, "Hey, you want to come out and help us while we're building this house?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can join the Navy later."
Oh, okay. Oh, so they saved you. This house raising saved you from joining the military.
Yeah. So
why? I mean, can I ask you why in your head you're like, Navy? This is for me.
When I looked at the pay, I had just a little bit of community college, and it was enough to raise my E level, and so I would go in as like an E2 or E3 or something instead of an E1, and then it had the fastest advancement. You got pay that was better, and then we had the Montgomery Bill, which in the state of Illinois, if you went into the military, you got your college paid for. So,
GI Bill stuff. Yeah,
it was just I didn't have anything better. I didn't have a better idea.
Well, I know people on both sides of it, and I always think, at least for me, the side of not going is always the better side for that. I'm not real up on people telling me what to do all the time. So,
no, I have tons of comedian friends that are veterans, and they're always just like, Eric, you're always late, and if you'd been in the military, you'd be on time. And I was like, you're always anxious, and if you hadn't been in the military, you wouldn't have PTSD. So.
Ouch. I'll take my tardiness over PTSD.
Yeah, I'm like, we both got problems.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Interesting.
I don't know if
So
have you noticed
go,
that in the comedy scene there are a lot of veterans. There's a lot of veterans.
you know what? I hadn't even thought about it, to be honest with you.
I think
That's a good. I would think that would not be the case, just because a lot of people in the military don't seem very jovial.
yeah.
I mean, you can't even smile in any of your pictures. I mean, that's the first thing you notice. I think they just yell at you nonstop while you get your service picture taken, because there's nobody's ever smiling in a service picture.
Interesting.
Have you ever noticed that? You ever see people like their first in kind of service picture, and it's like they basically look like somebody's stuck them with a pen or something.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't get a smile in the military. I guess not. I mean, I wouldn't go over well, I'm sure. So, but interesting path here. So you've got saved by a house project.
Yeah,
and then you had to get back to the Midwest at some point. How long did you work on that house?
about 6 months. Got it just about good. Geodesic dome home, and
great.
You can see it from Route 330, and it's awesome because everybody that goes to Big Bear, I just like that geodesic dome home you see from the road. Yeah, I built that. They all know it. Love it.
You see that? See all those triangles? I put some of those up there.
Well, it's nuts.
Yeah, Buckminster Fuller, right? Buckminster Fuller, another Midwesterner, oddly enough.
I think
Bucky Fuller,
Northern Illinois, actually. Yeah,
he actually taught at Carbondale, where I went to school.
Oh, that's right.
There's a big geodesic dome on campus at At least it used to be. Maybe it's not there anymore, but it used to be. Yeah, Bucky Fuller. Yeah, it was a fantastic kind of kooky guy with all kinds of crazy ideas.
I got an autographed copy of Operation Manual for Spaceship Earth by Buckminster Fuller.
Oh, wow.
Somewhere in the collection.
So not only do you catalog, but then you collect.
Well, yeah, and there's a couple different flavors of librarians. It's interesting. There's librarians that have 1,000 books in their office, and there's librarians that have none because they can just
because they're tired of it.
They can just borrow anything they want anytime. So
just like you borrowed that autographed copy, it's fantastic. It's on long-term lend to me. Yeah, that's interesting. So do you find? So have you cross-referenced your comedy with your librarianness? Do you find that it helps you? I mean, obviously, they're both language professions.
That's interesting.
Kinda, I guess.
I mean, I definitely I keep track of my sets and I track laugh per minute on every performance. And
seriously, wow.
Oh yeah. I'm very, I got spreadsheets, and I love showing the noobs just to like scare them. Basically, look at all the paperwork you could be doing.
So what would you say is, if you said, what's the laugh per minute ratio that you want to hit? Like, you're going into this, what do you want to get to?
Well, something I noticed, and I mean, you can do this as an experiment. There are certain performers, and you can tune into any special they do, anything, and randomly select 5 minutes and just do a tick for every joke, and you're going to get 35. You're going to get 7 laughs per minute every single time.
Really? 7 laughs per minute?
You can do that with Dave Attell. I've never found any segment of Dave Attell that doesn't work with that formula. John Mulaney, Amy Schumer, pretty much any of them. So in my mind,
I watched the Mulaney, LA people thing. Yeah. I don't think he hit 7 a minute on some of that.
Now, see, it's a different ratio if you go to a different format. If you take like a Seth Meyers, late night, that's running more of a 3.5 to a 4. Those shows are much slower. They're different setups.
Okay.
But I like the machine gun Dave Attell, Amy Schumer style. I mean, 7 laughs per minute. That is, and the fact that you can do it anywhere tells me that their writing is very systematic. They're very disciplined. I mean, you can't hit that consistently without, knowing what you're doing.
Wow, that's interesting. I never thought about it that way. That's because So if you're in the kind of the media world, right? So if you watch movies, it's basically a cut every 3 seconds
Okay.
in a regular scene, right? So if
Sure.
you can almost count 1, 2, 3, cut, 1, 2, 3, cut. So it's very similar. So there's a rhythm.
Yeah.
You're seeing the rhythm in what's happening,
Yeah.
even though it may not be totally apparent to the viewer
Yeah.
at that
But
time.
but I just originally very much needed a way to objectively tell what was happening, because I had seen people bomb and get off stage, and I'm
Mhm.
like, and just halfway teasing them, "Hey man, how'd you do?" And they're like, "Oh, I killed," and you're like, "Wow." And I've seen people, I've seen it numerous times where somebody has just absolutely killed, and they're off to the side of the stage grumbling and concerned
Mhm.
about the tags they dropped and the thing that didn't work. And it's like they were witnessing a different thing. And I was like, I need some kind of objective way to be able to tell what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
So you're doing this statistical analysis of comedy.
Well, but the nice thing about comedy is that it has an authenticity. You know what I mean? When
Mhm.
you do your bits, the audience makes a noise. It's an objective reality. There's no, I mean, because you can go for a groan. You
Mhm.
see, there's lots of people who go for the what I call clapter. You know what I mean?
Clapter.
You
Okay.
know, hey Chicago, how we feeling?
That's right. Yeah.
Or
The
like,
give me, as they say, right?
and when you see somebody do like two of those or three, you're like, oh, heck, what are
Oh,
you doing?
well, maybe they only got 4 laughs in this minute, so they're trying to get 3 more.
But that's the other thing too, where I just, I'll let anybody have one, you know what I mean? But when you start bringing up your just anything, it's just designed to just get a clap, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's designed to, aren't you so brave? You know what I mean? Oh, your son was the first male cheerleader at the high school. Great, good for you. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
we're all gonna applaud. That's a wonderful thing, but like,
Right.
you get one.
That's funny.
They start taking points off.
Yeah, it's a comedy mulligan right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're writing a book right here, Eric. This is all the statistical comedy. It's a good title for a book. We got all kinds of stuff going
Well,
on.
I'll tell you the stats that I would really like to understand is I wish the bookers of the comedy world would get together and say things like, I mean, I've talked to a few of them. They're just like, oh, it's impossible to book in August. And I'm like, really? And like, apparently August is dead, or
Okay,
there's
why?
certain months and certain times where they just know, oh, this weekend is always a wash and you're never going to get any shows.
Hmm.
That kind of knowledge, I would love to see that, and I don't have that. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. So now you pretty much are local, right? So you're not traveling around too much, or you do travel around?
I mean, very little. I mean, I got friends in Chicago, and I'll go up every once in a great while. But you really got to have it in,
Hmm.
because there's 100 mics up there, all with 20 comedians in the audience and no civilians.
Right, right.
You got to have the inside. You got to have a bud who is going to be straight with you and tell you this is a show that actually has an audience.
Mhm.
Um, So, and I'm really talking mics. I mean, I don't know. Around here, yeah, East Central Illinois, we've got a couple vineyards that do shows outdoors sometimes in the summer. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, there's a lot of smaller venues, a lot of smaller towns that are starting to have events. Um, because, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure this is happening in St. Louis just like it's happening everywhere else, but venues are going away. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if bars and restaurants just can't make it anymore, if people aren't drinking as much out, if COVID just taught people how to drink at home. I don't know.
I think COVID probably took a big chunk of the money away, and people just and that and inflation. So
I really love.
between the two.
I would love to read an academic paper though on the number of users on Tinder and the number of people who go to the disco.
Well, that may be you may be onto something there. Uh, maybe you need to come up with an app that is just a rapid fire comedy app. So, kind of a swipe right, kind of funny ha thing, right? So be like a one-liner Tinder. And if you like it, you swipe right, and if you don't like it, you swipe left. You get somebody else telling you a joke.
Boy, I could get stuck on something like that for a long time.
I mean, in a way, that's what TikTok is. I mean, how many, for me at least, I mean, I don't know what your experience is, and I am actually tired of it, but, I can only watch people fall down so many times on a video, no matter where the hell they are and what country or what situation.
Yeah.
I've grown tired of the America's Funniest Home videos online. At this point, but maybe there's room for other things. We'll see. I mean,
I deleted TikTok.
Yeah. Well, being kind of a technology aficionado, I always like to see what's happening, even if I don't like it.
Oh yeah. When I first got out of graduate school, my specialty is competitive intelligence, business intelligence, and so I went to work for this company, and basically I was just doing competitive intelligence on the internet. So I was writing up reports on what was happening on the internet for like rich dudes. It was great. Oh my god, it was the best job ever.
To me, that just sounds. I'm like paying you to do this.
Yeah. So I joined like everything. I mean, it was like you cannot name a social media service from 20 years ago that I wasn't on. I did everything.
That's wild. So you're a Friendster kind of guy.
Friendster, Friend Feed, MySpace, Orkut.
I don't even know what that one is.
That was Google's attempt that just died.
Yeah. Google has there's that they always use that sign yard in Las Vegas with all the old signs. Google's got one of those for all their old products.
Oh,
virtually.
Yeah.
That's going to be that'll be an attraction once we get into the immersive worlds that supposedly have been coming for the last 20 years.
Dude, I miss so many old products, old software that you can't get anymore. Like, I can't believe I'm nostalgic for crap like that.
Well, it's interesting that you even, I mean, obviously coming from a repository mindset as a librarian, most people don't care. I mean, they just don't, does anybody remember Odeo?
Is that a radio thing, audio thing?
Yeah, it was like an early podcasting thing. It became Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, go figure, right? So, anyway, trip down memory lane there.
Now, it's interesting you say that because there's a weird crossover with librarians and podcasts. I mean, people actually sort of, measure like the major milestone was the first podcast that was added to the Library of Congress.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Maron's WTF.
That was? Oh, my gosh, that's not even an early one. These bastards don't even pay attention.
What was hilarious was before that, there was a site called DMOZ, which was kind of like a Yahoo directory that was built by people, like a Wikipedia of Yahoo directories, which the kids won't know what I'm talking about. Right. And they had mods for different, departments and specialties. And my buddy in library school set up the category for librarian podcasts.
Oh,
okay. When he finally stopped, he had curated 1,000 librarian podcasts.
Really? And it was all talk about books?
Well, see, library and information science encompasses everything.
I can hear the pitch.
Yes.
This is the pitch right now.
No, it's
Bob, you can't believe the library and information science.
No, I mean,
encompasses a vast array of subject matters and ideas.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you one thing. You've heard of SEO, search engine optimization. Well, that's library science. That's keywords for easier access and retrieval of information.
Right. There you go. Kind of like this FB4TB.
Yeah. Very strange.
You want to talk to us about that?
I'd be happy to tell you about that. So I guess over the pandemic, might have been for my birthday. A friend of mine bought tickets to a Zoom comedy show.
Mhm.
And I didn't know it at the time, but they've all become good friends of mine. It was Drew Harmon, who's up in Detroit now, and Liz Stone, who's in Las Vegas, and Ron V, who's also out in Las Vegas, but used to like book everything in the Bay Area, apparently. Because I never saw so many comedians show such deference to a person. It's like, hey. Yeah, Ron was amazing. Ron had been a writer for Joan Rivers, and you know, I was.
Speaking of, just an aside on Joan Rivers, I just read she has one of the best cataloged joke banks of anyone, apparently.
Yep, and the librarians help with that.
Yeah, I just read that. They're like it's a plethora of jokes.
What they didn't talk about was that
they're
even though those were typewritten, they still, it was back when that was originally like, you know, first donated when she passed away.
Mm-hmm.
OCR was still a little, you know, iffy, you know, optical character recognition. Mm-hmm. So they posted in the librarian and museum, like, you know, message boards, hey, we have this enormous collection of 36,000 jokes on cards. But we need some help transcribing it, you know, if anyone. Anyway, apparently the whole project was done in about 8 days because the librarians.
Wow.
Which is like, are you kidding? I can read a Joan Rivers joke straight from the card and type it in. So
yeah, cross referencing.
Yep, that is all.
And crowdsourcing at that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I kicked you off the Facebook stuff for the blind.
So we went to this great Zoom comedy show. It was called Best of SF. No, it was called Zoom Comedy, I think, or Live Zoom Comedy Live. I don't remember. Anyway, it had a really great name, and they got the URL, which was amazing.
Really great. That escapes me.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Went, and it was like, I mean, because we hadn't had any comedy in, you know, 2 months. I mean, whenever COVID locked us all down, 3 months, there was nothing. And then all of a sudden we had live comedy, and I'm having a bourbon. I was dying. I'm in the chat, like talking to my friend, you know, like you whisper to your friend at comedy shows and talk smack about people. I was like, oh, this is the whole experience. This is great. And then, you know, I have a little voice in my head that says, okay, 1 bourbon, that's it. You got to drive home. And then I was like, wait a minute.
I'm not driving anywhere.
Holy cow, I can tie one on. I don't have to be anywhere. It was probably a bad thing, but it was great. Got me through the pandemic.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So that inspired me to want to do my own show. And it took me probably about 2 months or so to wrangle comedians, and none of them had ever worked in offices or had Zoom or knew what they were doing at all. But
makes it a little tough.
Yeah, but bit by bit, you know, we did it and kept doing it, and now we've got this live on Zoom podcast that takes place every Tuesday night, and it's called Facebook for the Blind. Basically, comedians playing show and tell with memes, and the idea is that, you know, you could be washing the dishes and just wearing headphones, and you can still laugh at a meme even though you can't see it because we'll say it, you know.
Oh, it's like descriptive audio.
Yeah, because I used to work for a reading service, Illinois Radio Reader, and we read newspapers to the blind. And they not only do newspapers, but they do the circulars, the ads inside, the coupons. I mean, all kinds of stuff that it doesn't get printed in Braille, doesn't get said out loud, you know. And I was like, well, I wonder how much they're missing on Facebook, you know, because you've heard sighted elders of ours describe something they saw on Facebook to somebody.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's this kitten. This kitten, you see? And kitten, he said, what's he saying?
It says, hang on.
Exactly. He says,
oh, did I mention it was hanging from a tree? I forgot to say that.
I forgot that part. Okay, wait. Let me go back. Let me start again. Yeah. So after overhearing things I got a million times, I was like, well, I wonder if comedians could do it. You know what I mean? Because a meme is not just straightforward. It's not just reading text. You actually have to figure out how to set up the tension, set up the premise, and then launch the punchline. You know, it takes timing. And I just wanted to see if it was possible. And we're 4 years into it and 160 episodes this Tuesday. And I don't know. Sometimes.
Interesting. So is it all on the fly, or do you prep, or what's your everybody bring their own memes and they prep them?
Yeah, we have anywhere from we've had as many as 8 people on the show, which is way too many people. But usually it's 3 or 4 comedians, and we each do a round of about 8 or 9 memes in a row,
Mm-hmm.
and then we switch off. Yeah, we did. It took a lot of iterations to get to that, but say if like you and I were doing this and we're trying to do one meme at a time,
Mm-hmm.
the transition between getting set up and sharing your screen and then the next guy share, there's too much downtime. You know what I mean? So we had to clump them
Right.
together. But yeah, it's really fun. And I used to be a DJ, so I like open the Zoom room like an hour early and play all my favorite music and put on weird cat pictures and memes and laser shows and my dream over COVID was always to do this as a live show,
Mm-hmm.
to have like a stage audience and then have like a screen that has the the Zoom gallery audience and then the
Mm-hmm.
what we're showing, and then me sitting there in front of everybody. Um, and Anyway, I finally got it together, and we are going to be doing that for the first time in a studio on Thursday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
We have some really excellent video producers, I mean VJs, really, like straight off what I thought the future was going to be. I'm a video jockey,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
These guys do. I mean, they'll just have like 15 projectors going, covering every wall and surface, and
Mm-hmm.
we have a big arts festival here in town called the Boneyard Festival, and a lot of the guys that are in this collective had done this whole art installation where it was like I don't even know how to say it, like sheer walls, kind of like sheer gauze, and the
Mm-hmm.
projections were like going down the gauze, and it was like a maze and a hall of mirrors and weird lights all over the place, just all shifting and moving like a
Oh, yeah.
psychedelic hippie, loving.
Yeah. I went to a Van Gogh thing, which was immersive Van Gogh, where they do all that stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's very neat. And just another aside, Alan Hunter lives in St. Louis, by the way, one of the original VJs.
Oh, from MTV.
Yeah, from MTV.
Oh, wow. Nice.
He does a show out of his house in St. Louis. Anyway.
Yeah, I from the second it came on, my young self was enthralled, and I was like, "Oh,
exactly.
this is the job."
I hate to burst your bubble, but Martha Quinn is 65.
No, I saw that. I don't care. My crush is unabated. my crush is unabated. I don't care.
She's still, she's still a very nice looking young lady.
I loved her
65.
I loved her for her insides.
Oh yeah, of course. I believe now she's a librarian. But anyway, that sounds great. So you're moving forward. You're going to have a more kind of produced type version of what you've been doing. And are you going now? You said you're going to the studio. So I mean, is this? So is it going to all originate where you're at, and then all your other folks from across the country are going to still zoom in, right?
Yeah. I have had other comics in Champaign-Urbana who've been on the show, but one by one they've all had to go off and do other things. So yeah, I'll be the only one representing from here, but I'll have a live audience, and we'll have a Zoom audience, and we'll have a Twitch audience. So and hopefully all the audiences will be able to see each other and wave at each other and give each other the finger like that portal in Ireland and New York.
Yeah, are they going to moon each other? Is this going to be a big moon fest here?
Whatever gets the Twitch, whatever gets the audience. If it moves the merch, Bob, what do I care?
Oh, that's terrible. That's a horrible thing to say.
So
you're supposed to be in it for the art. Come on, Eric.
I'm in it to sell the art.
To sell the art. Okay, I thought you meant to create the art, the illusion.
I'm an American, and I want.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to be able to pay my rent, and then afterwards, like buy other things.
Yeah. Buy other things. Okay. So, I guess that you just ushered me into another question. So, is it paying the rent?
No.
Okay.
No.
But you're having fun, right? So this is something that you want to do. You're not now been forced into it in some kind of a strange.
No, and I'll tell you the best lesson that I learned out of this, and this is what I'd love to share with anybody who happens to listen to this, is I'm practicing with comedians, and you work with comedians, and you work with technology. Those two things don't mix together well. That's not an instant. That's not peanut butter and chocolate. This is, these are two things that were not probably meant to go together.
You don't think so? Interesting.
No, because, no. Anyway, these guys, the people that were the best at finding great memes that shared online were not good at Zoom. Or, if they were good at Zoom, they did not find good memes. Or if they found memes, they couldn't figure out how to share them. You know what I mean? So it was a whole lot of, hang on, wait a second, hang on, and it's all timing. It killed it.
Right.
We had tons of dead air. It was ridiculous. So we just kept doing rehearsals. I kept getting everybody together because I was just waiting till we could get to, can we actually do a half hour? I was just shooting for a half hour content that flowed smoothly, and the guys were like, when are we going live? When are we going live? When are we going live? And, I have to do all that stuff. They just show up with 10 memes in their phone that maybe they prepared. Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe it's just, let me see what I did today. You know what I mean? Who knows? So my man, Michael Abune, who's my co-host on the show and has always been alongside. I mean, he and I have probably done equal numbers of episodes. I think out of 160, we've each done like 159.
Okay.
So, but he has a mohawk and is a punk rocker.
Okay.
I'm going.
I was just saying he's got a mohawk and he manages a bank. Oh, interesting.
He has a surprising story, but at the time, his identification there is, punk rock. And I was like, guy, we need to practice it more. It doesn't look produced enough. It's not professional enough. I don't want to go live with garbage. You know what I mean? It's going to be embarrassing. I want to do it right. And he goes, man, I'm punk rock. Kick it out the door. And like, bro, something broke. It was like a weight fell off my shoulders. And I realized that, yeah, what the hell do I care? I mean, I've seen punk rockers do shows. They can't play guitar.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
They're singing a song. They can't sing. They have a crap microphone.
Attitude. Yeah.
But they're going to do it. They're going to do it. And they're going to do the show and they're going to get it out there. Anyway, it was the most amazing thing. And this is my advice for the world is I just kept doing it and it's garbage. You know what I mean? And I don't care what it is, but when we're done before the next show, I would kick out the fully produced podcast, in whatever state it was in, and just get it out the door and start on another one. And every week try to get a little better, but not getting hung up in all the flubs and problems and everything else. It is what it is. And, we're punk rock, get it out the door. And I wish to God I had picked something like that as a hobby a long time ago. I think everybody should do something that doesn't matter, that you don't care, and you do it and kick it out the door. I mean, how many people, they don't paint because they can't paint good, or
right?
They don't sing because they don't sing good, or they
didn't stop Jackson Pollock.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. I can tell you the first ones were probably not good.
Yeah,
I'm certain they were not good.
But that's what you got to do. You just have to keep try. And I think everybody gets hung up on, unfortunately, and this is you already mentioned this, but everybody gets hung up on the statistics of things. And it doesn't matter if there's any statistics as long as you're having fun doing it. That's the statistic that counts. Yeah. Is the fun factor. More so than anything else.
Over COVID, man. I mean, the thing is that I don't really go out much. The only thing I go out for is comedy. So the only people I see are other comedians and, comedy fans. And then when COVID hit and everything shut down, I lost everything. I lost all my entertainment, all my social life, and all my friends kind of in the same, fell through. And then I'm trying to round people up for a Zoom party. I couldn't even get them together for like a dinner party. Do you know what I mean? Like in real life, back. But, it was kind of interesting. It was kind of interesting though, because you do comedy, you invite people out, you invite people to shows, and you hear every excuse in the book. And doing Zoom comedy, I'm telling comedians, show up with memes. Those things that you have on your phone right now anyway, on that device that you're using that's in your hand. Just press a button on that and join me. And people couldn't manage to do that. And I was like, oh, well, okay. So people say a whole bunch of things, but
oh my goodness.
But I mean, it's like, people say, "Oh, I'll try to make it," and I just smile and nod. But I'm like, "No, you won't."
I can tell by the tone of your voice, this is not going to happen.
It's just a numbers game. You tell 400 people about a show, and you'll get two people.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you feel fortunate for those two people.
I'm very grateful for those two. I shake hands with them. I hug them. I learn their names. I ask about their mom.
Oh my goodness! Well, you've already thrown me out the door. I'm never going to show up asking about my mother. No. So, what's next for Eric? I mean, you just told us what's next, literally Thursday. But I mean, what's next as you look down the road? I mean, my gosh, I've counted like maybe 7 different jobs. How long you been the librarian? Is that your longest employment situation?
Boy, that's a good question. I was a DJ for 17 years, so.
Oh, that's a long time.
I've been a librarian for.
Were you DJ in Champaign?
Yeah. Yep.
What station?
105.9 WGKC, Champaign-Urbana's classic rock.
Oh, wow.
Coming back with Jethro Tull.
Cool.
It was alternative rock for the first few years, and it was perfect. It was the early 90s. It was like all the best alternative rock and grunge there was, and I was so thrilled to be getting paid to play it. It was like 6 a.m. and I'm like dancing in the booth to 311 at full blast. I'm like, this is awesome.
Wow. That's cool. And so you decided, though, at some point you said, I'm not going to do this anymore. Or did the station just fold out from under you and change formats or something?
Yeah. We all got fired one day.
Well, that's radio.
Yeah, I know. It was the funniest thing. People were like, "You've been in radio for 17 years?" And I go, "Yeah, I've worked at 4 companies in the same building."
Yeah, they all just get bought out. And, exactly.
And it was like, and they were like, "Oh, what happened in the end?" I go, "I don't know. I think management found out I worked there. I don't."
They're like 17 years. We're gonna owe him something. Get rid of him before 20.
No, it was nuts. Literally, the new owner came in and, as I understood it, grabbed the payroll sheet and took a red marker and just drew the line between full-time and part-time, and everybody part-time was fired, including all the commission salespeople. And I was like, okay, so this guy doesn't have any idea how to do anything. Like, you know what a commission salesperson is, right?
Hey, somebody that works for free unless they sell something.
Unless they make you money.
Right.
I was like, okay.
They may not do it. You may work all week and not make anything. It's like the best employee you could have.
It's absolutely stunning to me that, like, and I've seen it happen time and time again. It's always like, oh, these guys with the MBAs, they're geniuses. And I'm like, no, not really. They're like, they can tell on a spreadsheet this number is bigger than that number, and they're like, we should draw a line here. That's about it. That's
interesting.
Not a lot of. I don't see a lot of innovation. I don't really. I see the same thing over and over again.
So that's when you made the transition to librarian. So you went to library school after the radio thing?
I was doing them both at the same time.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. You'd already decided I need to do something different.
Yeah. Well, there was no money in radio when I started, and it seemed to be getting worse. So.
Yeah. Now they just let everybody do it at home, and they don't pay anybody. So there you go.
Are you freaking? Well, that makes. I mean, we were voice tracking back then, and I was always stunned at that because people didn't know. I'd knock out a whole weekend in like an hour.
Right. Yeah. And that was, and here is.
Yep.
On to the next thing. Yeah. Yep. Script it all out, right, and then pop it into the Playmaster 5000.
Not to say that that's easy though, because
no, but
I mean, my God, more times than not, a sales rep coming in and telling me, you got to do this spot. And he's got a cocktail napkin with scribbles on it. I'm like, you want me to spin this into gold? What am I getting paid for this? Part of your job. Just do it. I'm like,
part of your job.
Okay.
You want to be commission sales? Anyway.
Yeah. No.
That's funny. So what would you say your favorite job has been so far?
Man,
And you can even include ones you don't get paid for. So go
God.
the width and breadth of everything.
Well, I mean, the one that I always go to in the interviews is I was like, man, I was a restaurant, I was a waiter in an Italian restaurant, and we got all the garlic bread we could eat. And let me tell you what, brother, I really like garlic bread. That was really good.
That's the best job. Free bread.
It's pretty, I mean, nice. Surrounded by good food all the time. That was fantastic. That was pretty good.
Wow. Was that younger days or?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you name the restaurant or you don't want to name it?
Oh, it doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, Dom's Italian Patio. But
okay.
I was a waiter in a bunch of places. I waited at a lot of tables. Like I said, I've had a lot of gigs. So I mean, people always think it's a lot, but I mean, I started when I was like a kid.
Right.
And would do 3 and 4 jobs at a time. So, I mowed lawns, I babysat, I, cleaned houses, I, whatever.
You did tassel corn, did you?
I did tassel corn, walked beans, de-geeked corn.
Oh my God.
That's a horrendous job. Worked in factories, did construction work for a while.
Oh my gosh.
But
so were you kicked out when you were 5 or what?
No, I got a paper route when I was like 8 or 9. I just always wanted like having a job, making money, just always wanted it, and it never seemed like I could get enough. I think I was surrounded by a lot of rich kids. It's like, oh, if I'm gonna ever have a car, I'm gonna buy a car.
Yeah, nobody's buying me a car. How does that work?
Yeah.
So was there something like, so when I went to work, I did tassel corn.
Yep.
And I went to the tassel corn because I wanted to buy a computer.
Oh yeah.
And so that was the reason I wanted to tassel. And so was there something that was a catalyst to launch? And this was when I was 11, right? And I was supposed to be 12, but I was very tall, so it didn't matter. Because, they don't actually have IDs when you're 11, at least back in the day.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just wrote I was 12, and they said, okay, get on the bus, kid.
Yeah.
But was there something that was a catalyst for you to start earning, or just money in general, or?
Well, that detasseling job was actually when I got back from California. So I was 20 and my crew were all 11.
Oh my God, you were the leader. Holy moly.
No, I was not.
You were not the leader even. Oh.
I was just another big dumb kid.
Because normally in the tasseling, all the college kids are wrangling everybody, right? The college age kids.
Oh man,
are usually yelling at all the young kids to get in there and get basically cut up, because that was the whole big thing then.
I'm surprised of how much of this memory I have not repressed, Bob.
sorry to bring it up again here. Sorry to make you churn this up.
I still think about it sometimes though, man. When people talk about those nightmares where they're walking in molasses, I'm like, I've actually done that. 20 pounds of mud on each foot.
Yeah.
Just oh gosh, tried.
Yeah, that's a purely Midwestern area, the tasseling corn, which is just a horrible job. That if anybody really paid attention, they would not let children do that job.
No,
because you get cut. I got poked in the eye. I don't know how many times with the corn stalks and corn leaves and everything else.
Did you ever do it where you're riding on the tractor?
No, everything I did was walking.
We did them both, and man, that was like at the end of the day, after you've ridden on the front of a tractor and you're just looking at infinite rows of corn, you're just, you're just grabbing them off both sides as fast as you can. It's just insanity. When I got done at the end of that day and I closed my eyes, that was all I could see. I could just see infinite corn. And I remember like laying on the couch with my eyes closed and going, I cannot have work intruding into my eyeballs after work.
Yeah, it's a terrible way to make a few bucks. And
it paid insanely well. I took it for about 2 weeks, quit, got a check, and I was happy to get the check. And then like a week later, I got an equal check. I thought I'd been fully paid, and I'd only been half paid, and I was happy with it. And I was like, I'm so glad I didn't know how much money I was making, or I might have stuck around.
Yeah, I would have tortured myself a little longer.
Now, but then I got out of that and I was a tree climber. I saw a job for a tree climber, and I was
What?
like, oh, I was like, I
you,
love climbing trees.
what are you doing climbing tree? What do you have to do when you get up the climbing?
Once you get up the tree, okay, and you're hanging on with 2 feet, like on a limb, then with your free hands, you start the chainsaw.
Oh, you're trimming trees. Oh God,
bro, that is like, oh my God, that was another like, real eye opener to like, how much is working worth?
Right? Yeah, I could just chop my leg off, and I'd still be up this tree for at least a few seconds.
There was a time, it was those kind of really baggy jeans. I think they might have even tapered at the ankle, but they were really baggy at the top. And I had a pair that had a perforated line right down the inseam. And people were like, oh, what's that? And I go, that's from a chainsaw.
Oh my God.
It was the most baller move I could do. Like, check that out. Look at that. I almost chopped my own leg off with a chainsaw.
Yeah, it was my McCullough home vasectomy kit.
Oh. Yeah, but that was like, I mean, it was kind of it was a fun job. It was an interesting job, but at the same time, it was like scary, and the owner was crazy, and it's after a while, and then he didn't pay me.
Oh, well, there you go.
So I showed up the next week on payday, and I handed out OSHA forms to all his employees. And I said, I'm going to show up every week with a different government form until you pay me in full, Bob. His name was Bob, too.
Yeah, Bobs are like that. They don't like to pay people. It only gets worse if they call themselves Robert.
I'm wrong. I screwed up. His name was Harold. It was Harold.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Bob, Harold, it's all the same.
I apologize, Bob. It did not mean to smirch the good name of Robert.
Yeah, it's all right. So what's going forward, right? What's next for you? You got Facebook for the Blind. You're doing this thing coming up, but do you have like a project yourself into the future, and you're like, I want to, captain a fishing vessel or something like that?
That is really an excellent question. You caught me right at a crossroads where I got a roommate because I'm killing it, and he's decided to not to renew, so I got to find another roommate. And
is this the pitch for the roommate?
Oh yeah, if you live in Champaign and you're a ninja, I'm never gonna get one quite as good as this guy. He works 7 days a week. He gets up at like 6. He's out the door at 7. I don't see him till midnight. He sleeps here and he's gone. He's a freaking ninja. And I'm like, perfect roommate. Yeah. So anybody, if you want to do that, please move. I'm looking for a chemistry grad student, 70 hours a week in the lab. Just needs a bed. Just needs a place to keep his mattress on the floor. That guy.
There's a place to crash.
No, but
it doesn't need the Wi-Fi password.
So I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to keep living here where I've lived for about 5 years.
Oh.
And, my job, although it is a great job and I love being a librarian, it is not enough. So I've got to add something else onto it. I am trying to layer on some merch and some revenue models onto FB for TB and some of the other things. I do a lot of things. I don't know, Bob. This is my sculpture. I sell these.
Oh, is that okay? It looks like a Rorschach kind of thing.
Dude, that's its name, Bob. You're the first person to ever say that. I love you so much.
I'm highly educated, Eric. Sorry,
bro. Yes. Its official title is Rorschach Series 2. And
Series 2. I would be interested. Are there any autographed Series 1 out there in the market?
The very first ones I made were they're 2 foot by 2 foot, so they're really big. And the very, very first one was made of copper, and so it looks like that, except twice as big and in copper. And then there's another one. The first one I did in aluminum.
Is it like thin, like pressed, like copper, like tin? It's with tin shears and so forth.
No, it's a 1/4 inch aluminum plate. and it's been cut with what I call a water jet, like a water.
Oh, okay. I'm familiar. Yeah, don't put your finger in that.
And then, yeah, dude, every time I ever get them, I get them back from the machine shop. They're covered in blood every time I've ever run them. And I have bled on several of them myself too. And I was like, it's so fun to do artwork that is inherently dangerous.
Those water jets are bastards. They don't have any give.
Well, no, it's the edges. It's the edges.
Yeah. Oh, the edge. Oh, because they're so sharp. Gotcha.
Yeah. And that's
the water jet will just take your finger off.
And that sits in a frame. It's got a nice black furry background. It's about an inch.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. So it's like kind of a
3D, yeah.
It's what do you want to call it? I can't see in the video very well, but
yeah,
it's essentially inverted, right? So the black part is the cutout part, and the other part is the actual metal. Then.
Yeah.
So yeah. So do you sell them on Etsy or something or?
I've had them up on Etsy for years and no one's ever inquired.
Really?
But no, crazy thing is I got a friend at a coffee shop who owns a coffee shop here in town. Hung one up there. He's got a lot of artwork up there. And he moved 3 of them during pandemic under lockdown. I still don't understand how that worked.
Well, people saw it and they're like, hey, that looks kind of wild.
And
interesting. I love that. To me, it looks... it does look like an ink blot test, which is Rorschach. But
that's what I named him after him, bro. No one's ever said that. You're the first. I've been making these things for like a dozen years.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, everybody needs to read a book.
That's that makes me so happy, Bob. You have no idea.
But it has a certain, je ne sais quoi. It's very interesting to me. And to me, when I look at it, just so we can jump into the full experience of it, is the one that you have it right there. It looks like a kind of like a deranged cat trying to attack something. So on the left side is the mouth and nose with the legs dangling below, but the back end is kind of in the distance.
Yeah. So like
I'm biased toward cats. So
yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Well, you need to. Do you know who Noel Fielding is? Do you know who Noel Fielding is?
No.
He's a British comedian.
Okay.
Right? You can write this name down. Well, actually, the stuff he's done lately, you'd be like, what? Why in the hell is this guy telling me this? He made a show called The Mighty Boosh back in the 90s with his partner, which I'm blanking on his name, of course. But anyway, he is a very artistic comedian, okay? And a lot of what his comedy is very visual, right? And so this reminds me of him because he did a lot of things that were visually interesting in reference to his comedy after he did some other things that kind of made him famous at the time, famous for England. But anyway, you might enjoy some of his. He did a thing called luxury comedy. You'll find it on YouTube, which is just outlandish stuff. But anyway,
okay, fun.
I'm just giving you a rabbit hole to jump in. But for me, The Mighty Boosh is one of the great weird British comedies.
Nice.
So if you get a chance to watch that, it's out on Netflix or something.
I think my favorite
British
British
comedy. 3 seasons, So
all I can think of. My favorite British comedy that I can think of off the top of my head is Black Books. I think it was called.
Oh, Black Books is great. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. The British do funny alcoholics better than anybody. I think even like in America, I think Dudley Moore,
sad alcoholics. Yeah.
Dudley Moore and Arthur was our last funny alcoholic, and that was it.
Well, yeah. Now we can't do that. I mean, that's not in vogue right now, is it?
No. And I've always wondered too. There's TV stations out there somewhere that are like filtering out the Otis the Drunk episodes of Andy Griffith.
Yes. Yeah.
Foster Brooks will never run on television ever again.
Right. Yeah. Poor Foster won't be on any of the Dean Martin roasts or anything anymore. Now they do. Now it's just, I loved the Dean Martin roast reruns and stuff as a child, and there weren't. I mean, I like the roast now. Don't get me wrong, as an adult, but it's really it's totally different. You say roast, it's a totally different, kind of aesthetic and everything than it used to be when kind of the Rat Packers were involved in it. It's not the same. It's somewhat mean spirited now. Overall,
it's really funny. I was talking to Judah Friedlander the other night, and we were talking about the
which hat was he wearing? First of all,
I think it was the one with the Morse code.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
I don't know. That's what I'm picturing, but I don't remember. But he was saying
you're an asshole. That's what it said more.
And I mentioned on the show, how much I'd enjoyed the roast of Tom Brady, and part of it was because I had a friend of mine who hosted, and she invited over some of my most obnoxious alcoholic friends, but they're also big NFL fans. So I got lots of loud, descriptive reasons behind all of the jokes. You know what I mean? Like,
gotcha.
Oh, that joke about the massage was because he got caught with a prostitute. And it was a whole, the whole story. It was great, and I really enjoyed it. It was a weird experience because I don't know football, I don't know NFL, I didn't know any of this stuff. So, so it was neat to have interpreters, and it was unique for me, and I enjoyed it. And Nikki Glazer was funny.
Yeah.
And Tony Hinchcliffe was funny. And Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer looked awkward. Which was funny. It was funny to me.
Which was funny.
But it was really interesting. It was like, Judah was like, yeah, he goes, but, so much of it was just, racist and homophobic. And as soon as he said it, I realized that there were long stretches where we were not laughing. Right. And we were even looking at each other. I remember looking at my friend Bethy and going, what was that joke? Am I on the back of the school bus in 7th grade? I mean, that was. I was like, basically, it was like all of his teammates going, "I think Tom Brady's gay." That was.
Yeah.
I was like, "I think he's some kind of a queer." It was like, wow, it was the same joke over and over again.
And well, I mean, maybe that's it hits the crowd. It's very popular.
Well. See, I love it. You're going demand side. I'm going supply side here.
Yeah.
In this analysis, because Judah pointed out, he goes, well, here's one of the issues is you've got all these millionaire, football players and owners reading jokes that they paid comedians to write, and they're reading them off a teleprompter. And he goes, at that point, what's a comedian? And I realized he's saying you're debasing the currency of comedy.
Right.
With that, you know what I mean? And it was mean-spirited, and it was really decades out of date, out of touch, homophobic, and humor, and misogyny, and just all the stuff that we just don't do anymore, and that you're just like, and then Judah was just like, yeah, well, it's fine if you enjoy it, but I just don't like the vibe. And the thing is, fucker, the next day when I was thinking back at it, I didn't enjoy it anymore. Damn it. I haven't had a chance to tell him either. Judah, thanks for ruining roasts for me.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, no kidding. So, have you got some upcoming gigs you want to say anything about? I mean, at this point,
I got to be honest with you. We went through tech rehearsal the other night to get this show up and streaming for Tuesday, and it took like 6 hours, and we did not get it done. We managed to get the video projections on the walls correctly, and the lighting, and some of the mics, and it was just there's all this streaming technology and network stuff, and no, I got to be honest, I cannot see any further than the end of the show on Tuesday when I will collapse into a couch.
Now you're going to have, little blinking router lights or something in your eyes instead of cornfield tassels. That'll be your new nightmare.
It is interesting. It's interesting. There are lots of lights shining on me because I tell you, there's like 11 different video projectors all over the place. He's like short throw video projectors. And then he's also got, LED lighting to light, the stage area. And he goes, is that too bright? I looked out and I was like, this isn't even the worst that I've been through. Those ones where you're in a very small place and you've got 8 lights on you and you can't see anything. Like, you're going from side to side to stop squinting. I'll go over this.
Just wear your transition your transition lenses are transitioned.
Yeah.
On your glasses there. Yeah. Interesting.
I hate that when you can't see anybody at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a nice
because you got to you want to interact and you can hear it necessarily, but it's nice to see it because sometimes people don't make a noise and you can see their reaction.
Yep.
And or I don't know, if you've ever had an encounter where people are laughing so hard they're not laughing anymore.
Oh,
so then they're just wiggling.
Yeah.
And you've kind of you surpass the audible laughing stage into the kind of just uncontrollable wiggling. It's almost like they're going into hypothermia.
That is awesome you said that, because I recently I finally have a friend that actually has a decent iPhone who goes to enough comedy that I can say, would you mind shooting this performance so I can see it. Because normally I just do audio on my phone, but it only captures the laughter that you can hear on stage, because that's where my phone is. And it's been an added dimension now that I've got a video, from further back. I can see people in the audience physically reacting that I can't hear. And I'm like, oh, okay, that worked. Okay, that did work. Because I can't tell.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot to ask you, what was the count on the Tom Brady roast? It wasn't 7 a minute.
I did not. I literally meant to go back and do Nikki Glazer and do Tony Hinchcliffe, because Tony Hinchcliffe was a machine gun. It was so many punchlines. I do want to find out. I will run the laugh per minute on that. If I run those numbers, I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, post them up. So then people.
I can almost guarantee you they'll be higher than 7. Tony's number was higher than 7. And it was like. It was bordering on being that was really a performance. That was really something to witness. It was great to see it live.
Cool. Well, Eric, I think we're towards the end here. Anything else you want to mention, or you want to sell some more Rorschach 2.0s, or you should do a shopping channel, this one. What do you think this is? Please type in the chat. What do you think this is? You're right. And you know what? That gets you a $5 discount.
I'd love that. No, please just go to FB for TB. Please, like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify and all that. I mean, even if you never listen to it, honestly, those numbers really they mean a lot. They help out.
Just click the button. Don't worry about it. Just click the button.
And then when you see our merch, send me all your money.
There you go.
No, FB for TB, Facebook for the blind. Also, another handy mnemonic that a friend of mine taught me for FB for TB is fuck boys for tuberculosis. So,
holy moly!
However, whatever sticks in your mind's craw, please Google it and find us.
It sounds like a third world kind of thing there when you say it that way.
No, but honestly, the show is great, and the more people in Zoom, the merrier. It is the most fun that I'm having for free.
There you go. Yeah. You heard it here first, folks. Thanks, everybody. And thank you, Eric, for taking the time. And we'll see you all next time.
Thank you so much, Bob. It really means a lot.
Hold on just